What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this video. This is Adam with Adrenaline Cycles, and this is not a Can-Am behind us, but we do get a lot of these traded in, and I just want to go over for you guys, if you're looking to buy a used machine, or you're wanting to trade your machine in and get the top dollar out of it, or this is just some stuff we look at as a dealer when a customer's trading in a unit, and also some things you might want to look at when you're going out and buying something off Facebook, Craigslist. I don't know if Craigslist is even open anymore, but just something on the internet, or you just know somebody's got something and you want to make sure you're not getting something that it's not. So we'll definitely start with the obvious. First thing is know what you're going to look at, guys. People say, oh, I got a Razor. Well, okay, is it an XP1000? Yeah, it's an XP1000. Well, obviously, just by the decal, it does say turbo. So, if you ask the customer to send you pics, or they don't know, a lot of people don't know what they got, guys. So do your research, do your looking online at home. If the customer can send you a VIN, you can call a local dealer and provide them with a VIN, and they can tell you specifically what model it is, if it's a turbo, if it's a 2-seater, 4-seater, a 64-inch, a 72-inch, things like that. If you can't get a hold of a dealer and it's after hours, obviously if it's saying turbo, the telltale sign for us is on a turbo Razor, you got one big pipe here that comes back, and on a non-turbo, there's two pipes that come back. So that's how I tell it, pretty much easy right off the gate. Hey, just send me a picture of your exhaust and I'll tell you what it is. That's probably the most easy to get you 90% of knowing what you're looking at anyway. From there, some other things you might take into note. This one's got aftermarket cage. So if you're looking online at something, one thing, man, I always take a look at is the welds around the main hoops, making sure this back hoop is not cut. It's all one solid hoop. I check for that. I really want that. Just again, it's for strength and safety purposes. Like I said, anybody and their brother in the garage can make a cage, and you don't want to buy this, go home, ride it in one rollover, it break at the weld in the middle. Some other things that I look for on a used unit is just overall condition. Razors are bad. Usually a 2-year-old Razor, man, all the decals are falling off if it's been rode a whole lot, or really, just maybe left with mud on it. But these decals, I mean, for this year model, I think this one's like a 2020 model. I mean, the decals and stuff look really good on it. So it's obviously been took care of, and it's got decent miles. That's another thing. It could have really high miles and the decals look like this. That to me tells me, it's more road miles than it is, in the wood and dirt type miles. So, and in reality, that is a lot less stress on components, because obviously if you're on the road, you're riding it in 2-wheel drive, you're not beating on your diff, you're not beating on the front axles, things like that. And it happens. We have people trade in an 8,000 mile unit look like brand new. We still, adjust the price accordingly to the miles, but it's still a super nice unit, and it's still in good shape. Some other things we look at, tires, that's an expense. That's these tires are good, they look good, they haven't been on there very long, and so you wouldn't have to replace these. They're a workable tire. They might not be your favorite, maybe you want carnivores or whatever, but this is the tire on the unit. It's not a big deal. If you're trading it in with bald tires, expect to be hit for a couple $100, because tires ain't cheap. I'm not going to sell a unit out here with bald tires to somebody that's a really nice unit. So we'll put tires on them. Just same way if you go buy it off a guy on the street, it's got bald tires on it, you're going to put tires on it. So take that into consideration on working your deal. Maybe the guy doesn't come off $500 because he knows it needs tires. So that's something you can address. Another thing I really look for is broken plastic, whether it's right around here in the bed. A lot of Polaris will break right in here. When they get rolled over, all this gets shoved and broke. On this model, everything looked good. None of this was broke. Same way on the X3. Check your bed corners on your X3s, that they can get broke. And this stuff, it's not cheap. About a bed panel, a half a side, it's going to be $350 plus some expensive shipping. Another thing I always check is check your oil. You know, check the engine oil on these things. Make sure it's not milky. Make sure it doesn't look like tar that's been in there since the day it was brought home new. Check your air filters. You know, and this stuff, guys, again, go to YouTube, because I don't know what particular model you're looking at, but there's some good videos on YouTube. You can look for like walk-arounds, PDIs, or maybe just a general service, and it'll show you where like the oil fills are, the, you know, the air filter, you know, on the razor. It's in here under the bed, pretty easy to get to. Most of them don't have to have tools to get in there and look at. They're all like little clips you can take off, so you don't have to have tools. But definitely check the air filter. If it's a super clean air box and it's got 3,000 miles, I'd be suspicious. You know, pull the air filter out, look down the tube that goes into the intake, make sure it's not covered, you know, in dirt, you know, and things like that, because you don't want to get an issue to where you buy a machine, you ride it 300 miles and it goes to smoking. Just again, you know, sometimes sellers out there aren't very honest. But if you do your homework and you check these few little things, like checking your oil, checking the air filter, just generally looking around the unit, like I said, this unit's really nice. I don't see anything cobbled up. The wiring looked good. I don't have house wire nuts on any of the wiring where they put stuff on and things like that, so that's a big deal. You'll also want to have a jack at home, guys, and you want to have that so you can check your bushings and your wheel bearings. Again, bushing and wheel bearings aren't a huge expense, but when you add labor to it, if you can't do it yourself, it can run into some money. So what we typically do, we'll take a jack with us, or when we pull it around back here at the shop, we'll just get in the center, jack it up, just come over here and we'll work things around. You know, you can grab your tire front to back and top and bottom and just see if you got any play in your wheel bearings or in the bushings. And while you're doing that, look at the steering rack. Some models are bad for that inner bushing on that rack. You can't see it per se here because of the boot, but you'll notice the play coming from that and not coming from your outer ball joint or your outer tie rod end or anything like that. So that's another thing to look at there. Again, just jack it up, check it out. Same thing on the back, jack it up. Again, front to back, top to bottom, wiggle it around. While you're down there looking, just peek in your brake pads. Again, brake pads, you know, they're probably going to cost you $100, $125 for a set to go all the way around. And the customer himself might not know it, the guy selling it. But you can look in there and see. Always check the one on the back side, because the front one will always have more pad than the one on the back side where the piston pushes. Don't know why it is. There's probably some technical term. But look at the back side of it to make sure on your brake pads. This one has a winch, so you want to check the function of it. You'll get in the machine, you know, to see if it'll run in and out. If it don't run in and out, maybe there's a problem with the winch. Maybe there's a problem with the wiring. You know, that's just something else to be aware of, guys. Check the stuff out. This one's got aftermarket lights. So again, you just get in there and you turn the lights on to make sure they're going. You know, accessories. This thing's got a nice cage, you know, some fender flares, wheels and tires, tree bars, harnesses. Yes, it does have value, guys, but don't sit here and say, well, I got a $5,000 cage on here and I got $2,500 in wheels and tires. Listen, sir, it come with a cage when it was sold new. And it come with wheels and tires. So yeah, instead of them being $2,500, it might only add $500 to the unit. Same way with the cage. In my experience, a lot of people like the cages, but if you're big and tall like me, there's some cages that ain't gonna work for you. So make sure you get in there and you sit down. You bob your head back and forth, you move around inside, because if you buy it and you get it home and you wind up hitting your head every day, that's on you because you didn't check it. That's things we look at. You know, if a customer comes in and got a low cut cage, he's wanting to trade it in, I'll trade with you, Mr. Customer, but you got to understand, you just cut half of my ability to sell this to the general public because you got such a super low cage. Looks killer, love the looks of them, but I got to adjust accordingly. And then we've got them so low, guys, traded in here, we just put a stock cage back on them, because it's super nice unit, got 300 mile, the customer traded in and got whatever. We'll just take the cage off, throw it in the back, or sell it off by itself dirt cheap, because like I said, it's a specific person that's going to need one cut low, and obviously I'm not it. And a lot of people don't want that. They want to be able to put the OE roofs, cages, windshields, and upper doors. So that's one thing to look at. Another thing is when you come on the inside of it, check, make sure you know it's got good harnesses in it. This one's got just regular Pro Armor, work fine, do the job. Make sure they're secured to the thing. Some people will wrap. These are actually bolted, so that's a really good thing to have on there. Like I said, make sure all the switch works. Make sure when you start the unit you can pull it in and out of gear good. So that way you know you don't have a problem like a one-way bearing. Like if you start it up and it's hard to pull into gear or won't go into gear with it running, and the owner says, oh, you can just shut it off, pull it into gear and start it up and it'll go. Well, that's a problem because it has a clutch issue and needs to be looked at. So just keep that in mind. Also know if you're buying a power steering unit or not. A lot of the Defenders and the Rangers and even the Polaris will have models on the RZR side that don't have power steering. So just look up under there. You'll see like an electric motor that lets you know it does have power steering. Don't get caught off guard on that. And that's about it, guys. I mean, like I said, things we look at is just, you know, wear and tear items, things that's going to, you know, make the unit just, I don't want to say easier to sell. It just makes it to where if a customer come in and I know that needed brakes and I didn't put brakes on it, and him trying to out here negotiate for a set of brake pads, dude, we're just going to fix the brake pads when it's traded in, get the guy ready to go, so when you come get it, you go home, you can enjoy it. That's how we do it. And when you're looking at units, you got to take a little time, guys. Do your research at home. Understand what this unit's supposed to have, what you're trying to buy, and actually what it is. Because like I said, a lot of times people call in and say, I got an X3, it's a DS, and we get it here, it's a 72-inch machine that had, you know, DS stickers on it wrong from BRP, and the guy, you know, stuff happens, guys. So really the best way to know is to get the VIN number and then run it. Or if you've been around them enough, or you got trust in somebody to know what they're talking about. Like I said, this one is definitely a turbo. The exhaust lets that away. If you're buying cages, one thing I will tell you, if you're buying a unit with a cage on it, make sure you got bungs here, guys, that separate the front and rear bumpers from the main cage. And that is extremely important. If you got to take the cage off because you got to do something, it makes it a lot less of a hassle because you can unbolt it here and this can stay on and that pull up out of the way. Without that, then you got to take it all the way loose from back here. You got to take all the back loose, and then you got to have 14 friends try to move this whole cage off while you do whatever you got to do. So that's just a little thing that makes it a lot easier when you're going on down the road. But guys, buying a used unit can be a great experience or it can be a bad experience, and you can blame it on the seller all you want. But at the end of the day, you as the purchaser, as the guy coming in to buy it, you got to do your homework. You got to understand somewhat of what you're looking for, and you can make a good decision, and you can get a machine, save yourself some money, get some accessories already on it, and you know, have a good time. But again, you got to do your homework, guys. YouTube, Google, things like that is really out there to help you guys. Like I said, protect yourself, guys. Do the homework, do a little research, and you'll have a good experience. As always, guys, hope this video helps. And if you got any comments or questions, just post them down below and we'll try to answer those. And we'll see you on the next one. No factory OEM belt. This belt with XRC or XMR. We'll start here at the front. This is a bumper we have made. Style hose, the part number we give you. We'll get this done.